Hello and welcome to episode 200 of our SAP on Azure video podcast. Today is June 19th, and together with Robert and Goran, we are here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So today is a very special episode. We are at episode 200. 200 episodes ago, Robert, Goran, and I started to record this weekly podcast. We wanted to cover the space between SAP and Microsoft, and I think we've done a fairly good job there. We had lots of guests from Microsoft, but also from SAP and other partners here on the show that talked about the combination of SAP and Microsoft. Today, I'm really happy to have Silvio Bessa with us, the global lead of our SAP Business Unit at Microsoft. Welcome, Silvio.
Holger, thank you. What a privilege. Huh? I remember when I joined Microsoft, I think one of the first things I was looking at was information, really. And I come across with a series of podcasts, actually, that I personally didn't know. And I started watching like a binge, right? So that was my binge, like people binge on Netflix and Prime and all those series. I was binging on that. So I'm super glad that I couldn't imagine that 2 years and a half later at Microsoft, I would be actually doing the 200. So I'm very glad. And now I have a reason for watching all the 200. So at least in the end of it, I will watch myself. So thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, Goran. Thank you very much. So this is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Silvio. So you just mentioned you joined Microsoft 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
But I know, similar actually like Goran and I, you have a rich history of SAP, actually an even longer history than Goran and I. And Goran and I think we were both like 10, 15 years at SAP. But I think you had been, before joining Microsoft, you had been at SAP for a much, much longer time. So maybe you can tell us a little about that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. It's kind of interesting. I was about 25 to 26 years at SAP before joining Microsoft. And, I consider myself super privileged for the opportunities that I had. And I'm forever thankful for everything I learned, the friendship and everything everything that SAP as a company also helped me shaping myself to be a technologist and getting to know the world and getting to know everything around and meeting people, amazing people like you, both of you, and hundreds and thousands of people that we interacted on a regular basis. So my story starts, I'm originally from Brazil, and I have a very, very common friend that joined SAP back then, and we were in the technology areas already. I mean, we were kind of I was a young talent or a very young talent back then. And he said, "Listen, I'm going to join this German company." He was German, and I say, "I'm moving to Waldorf," and they say, "Well, his name was George," and they say, have a good life. I see you when I see you. And he, like early in the 90s, he moved to Germany and went to work for this company called SAP in Germany, which I didn't have much of. And back then was in the era of internet and, things were start talking about, www and interconnectivity through the web, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Very fascinating. I mean, if you're making some, for the young generation, if you make the sum, we were the new kids on the block because, most of the technologists were in the mainframe and we were client servers. I mean, we believed that there was the 3 tiers technology and this and that. And there was a 4th tier called the World, the World Web, and at that point in time was kind of interesting that he moved to this company in Germany. And then a couple of years later, he called me and said, "Listen, SAP is actually expanding their reach in Americas. Do you want to join?" And I did. Probably the best decision, one of the best decisions I've made. And since the localization of the software wasn't ready for Latin America, I had the privilege to be primarily implementing SAP around the world. So I got to know large companies around the world. I was part of the BASF project, and Shell, and Telefonica, and many others around the world. And then this was an amazing learning. And in 1999, I moved to the US. I was part of the technical core competence. I mean, for the ones that knows the early watch go lives and all that kind of that eventually becomes solution manager. The curiosity is that for the old TCCers that are out there, probably most retired by now, our solution manager was a Microsoft developed a Visual Studio model. That was the origination of the solution manager. That was my initial integration. One of the areas that I was actually focused on was really the migration of environments into SQL Server too. So that was the beginning of my getting to know Microsoft. After that, my career actually expanded. I had the opportunity to be primarily all over the world and mostly in customer success. So my focus is primarily customers, and that's where my passion is where I take kind of the source of my knowledge comes from customers. I mean, that's the way I like to approach things. Is really from the content. I call this the context to the content, really. So bringing the content to the customer context and vice versa. So that's primarily my story, Holger. Thank you.
No, that's great, and I love this customer focus, or the fact that you came from the customer. I mean, I also was in SAP consulting, so I was going from customer to customer and really learning from the customers. And I think actually, if we look back at the very beginning of SAP, when Hasso Plattner, they were also working with the customer, learning from the customer, and I think that's what's driving a lot of really cool products.
I think that's the roots that I come from, really. I mean, that's it came from organizations, prior with Kurt Oswald and Uwe Hommel and Hasso himself and some other groups, and the reality is there was 100% customer focus only. And I remember that if you were not even customers, you were primarily irrelevant. I mean, that's how it was, and amazing. I mean, when you start understanding what customers, sometimes we talk technology very much in the edge. We talk about how futuristic it is, and obviously we all have to march forward, but we also need to understand that is a between what they are today and what they needed to get. Yep. And I think I feel as an obligation as a team, together with our team, to really helping customers really moving or leapfrog from what they are today, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about. Yeah. 2 years and a half ago, Holger, I had the pleasure was invited to come to Microsoft, and that was certainly the best decision in my career. I had an opportunity to really not only, when you are for so long in SAP, there's obviously, you are constrained of the knowledge you have. And I was presented something much more integrated. Things that I didn't necessarily look at it. So I feel privileged to look through the eyes of a customers and see end to end, not only the SAP business process, but also the architecture stack. The infrastructure stack, security, the technology that goes on the edge, the integrations that takes place outside of SAP into SAP that are, very often we not necessarily not. I'm not sure if we inside of SAP we pay much attention to this. At least I didn't. I'm not speaking for SAP itself, but the fact of the matter is that that's opened up and broadened up my knowledge such in a way that I'm very delighted.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had a similar experience because customer want end-to-end stuff, what everything can do for them, not just the SAP Unlimited Microsoft part running on SAP, but also broader story. And that's really interesting that you brought that up, because they just want to reutilize the technology for many different area and just see that it basically fits and work.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, there are some customers that use SAP end-to-end. There are some customers that use pieces of it. I mean, you have all scenarios, right? Some that are, I think that's the beauty about being closer to the understanding of the customer context really is because I mean that if you take some sort of a one fits all, or I keep hearing, a cookbook of a target architecture for all customers. I mean, that's a little bit not necessarily very feasible because, you have customers that have not only old technology, they have different interface, different business requirement, different government requirements as well, legislation, compliance, all that kind of stuff. And if you don't put yourself in the context, the content becomes irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. And I think now, I mean, you moved to Microsoft. Now you are part of you are the global lead for the SAP Business Unit. And I think what really helps is that you have these very, very good insights into SAP. I mean, you know SAP inside out, and now you lead this from a Microsoft perspective. So could you share some insights about the partnership between SAP?
Yeah, no, sure, absolutely. So let me just get started with the fact that the first year, I joined Microsoft. This was an amazing journey. I'm extremely happy. I keep saying, I told my bosses when I joined that I want to wake up the same kid that joined SAP 25 years ago. and honestly, I did. I feel like a kid in a candy store because I'm learning every day and I'm expanding the knowledge and understanding and the amazing technologies of Microsoft. And we talk, I joined the first year I joined engineering. So this was very, very important for me to kind of be able to understand the technologies from engineering, how things, it gave me time to grow a little bit. After that, I came and joined about a year ago. I came in and leading the SAP, but gave me this understanding fully about the magnitude. This was, I want to thank all my colleagues in the engineering team, the leadership there, Charlotte, Marcel, Fred, Hongmei, Kent, everybody over there, because they were amazing, welcoming me into the team and kind of giving me a little bit the space for kind of understanding and growth. Based on that, obviously, my coming for the years I have as SAP, moving to the leadership, to leading the SAP business unit was in some extent a inevitable situation that would have happened, and I'm super happy because now I think I can offer a lot of Microsoft. So I'm equipped with the knowledge to know about the technology integration points and how to benefit customers on the SAP workloads. On the other hand, I also understand the SAP underneath technologies and how this could be prioritized and integrated, and obviously the conflict areas as well. So this actually helps me to maneuver this in a much, I would say, constructive discussion in both ways,
Mm-hmm. No, makes sense, because as you said, there are a lot of areas where we beautifully complement each other, but there are areas where we are competing, where we offer choice to customers basically. And I think understanding both sides makes it much easier to find a good compromise, to find a middle ground between.
I think the compatibility, that goes back to customer scenarios, really. But don't usually see things in a compete manner. I think what is the best fit in certain scenarios. And it goes in many areas, right? So, like in the first year, and we will talk a little bit about our partnership and the things that we're working on, but I think that's one of the ideas, right? So we maximize the things that we complemented each other, and we provide clarity and abilities on how we partner in certain areas that are, in some extent, have an element of, I would say, an element of choices that customer may have. So that's the things that we want to clarify for sure.
No, makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So how would you define the partnership with SAP at the moment?
The partnership is super good. I mean, I have a very good relationship with the leadership team from SAP. I mean, from my past, but obviously from the future too. I mean, Microsoft always being, I mean, this is actually a very important element is, and I can testify this on both ends, you know. While at SAP saw Microsoft very strongly as a partner and very important to the future of SAP. And I look at Microsoft on this side, and Microsoft sees SAP as a very, very important partner and a very, very important element for the growth of Microsoft too. If you really, really look at it, I mean, there is I like Goran, your background about the heart here, Microsoft plus SAP, because the reality is, I mean, when it comes down to business process integration end to end, I mean, SAP, hands down, is the best technology. I mean, I would even question if there is any other competing offering out there that actually offer anything related to that. On the other hand, when it comes down to cloud computing, when it comes down to artificial intelligence, when it comes down to edge and productivity tools, I mean, hands down, Microsoft is the best. And I think the complementation of both of them is what it brings the beauty of it. And my job is really to kind of how can I build this model in lieu of our customers per se. So let me talk about a little bit about the partnership. The partnership is extremely strong. We did have some, I'd say, I don't say challenges, but it was a little bit of some situations that happened in the past where you know the customers were stalling a little bit the innovation of the SAP stack, including with Rise, Grow, and so on. I think there was a little bit of the customers were kind of in I call this a stall, so they were a little bit on wait and see mode. I think that's over. I mean, customers day by day, we see more customers moving to SAP Rise. We see a relatively good penetration in Grow. We've seen BTP being adopted across all services for customers more often than normal. Sorry, I hope I hope you didn't get the noise here around.
No, all good.
No, okay. So we see the BTP getting more, let's say, adoption. We see also Joule coming up strongly, and we will talk for sure about our partnership. We see also the SaaS solutions for SAP being more adopted in integration point. We see more integration from our productivity tools. We see more working together in the field in lieu of bringing customers into Rise, into Grow, into BTP, all on Azure. We see the overall mechanics around the world in every single region very, very strongly. So the partnership, in my view, is stronger than ever, and I'm very, very glad to report that. So that's good.
No, and I love what you said, and for me actually, this partnership is really almost like an ongoing long marriage that we had. So in every marriage there are ups and downs basically, but I think the true strength of the marriage comes out if you are so well connected that you can tell each other, look, I don't like this specific way how this is going, or I'm not too happy with this one, and then it's getting much stronger. And what we are seeing now is that, especially like you said, in Rise, in Grow, in BTP, we are working extremely well together, so that our customers can really benefit from these integrations. And maybe that's actually a nice transition to Sapphire, because we obviously just had Sapphire, and I think there were some really big, cool announcements that we made jointly, that Christian Klein, the CEO of SAP, made in his keynote, that Philip Herzig made, that Muhammad Alam talked about. He had Scott Guthrie here, but maybe you can also talk a little about
Sure.
your impressions from Sapphire and some of the highlights that that you saw there.
Yeah, so it's interesting because today the almost episode 200 equals to 1 year for me in this role. So it's quite interesting that my anniversary with in this role, it's been a year. And if I want to take a good reflection a year ago, and I'm in joy right now because a year ago, I took a photograph. My management asked me to take a photograph in terms of what is needed. I mean, what is the relationship with SAP? And I kind of, for me, it was very clear. I said, listen, I think while we have a strong and very, very important cloud relationship, infrastructure cloud relationship, I think we have huge opportunities in terms of the edge to work together with SAP. And we needed to bring the parity into it. So we needed to bring the technology and ability for us to integrate that, and vice versa, bidirectionally. So SAP can integrate it with us, and us we can integrate it with SAP in all aspects and all elements. So one of the things that I set up with my management and to the SAP management is my first year of the job will be focused on bringing the ability that the technology stack are integrated from not only from the infrastructure side, but also up to the user level and the presentation layer. So not only in the infrastructure, the system of record, the differentiation, the innovation, but also the entire edge, And this was, in some extent, announced during Sapphire, which is super happy to do. So the first one and the most important one is that AI, we will integrate the Copilot, the productivity tools, Copilot 365 with SAP Joule bidirectionally. What that really means, and this is, I want to thank SAP as well, because they challenged the status quo for us, which was super nice. We learn a lot from them, and I'm sure they learn a lot from us too, is the fact that if you see a lot of the integrations of Copilots today, there's some sort of a directional. But you have to look at this from a user perspective. So the user is, if they are in several screens, I mean, the reality of a user is that they will be on SAP, they will be on Excel, they will be in Teams, they will be in Word, they will be in any systems out there. That's the reality of the user. And if they have to go to a chatbot in every single system to actually get information, what's going to happen is the usability is not going to get there, and they end up not using it. So the discussion between this bidirectional connection was, we needed to have a system or a scenario where, you are creating a purchase order in SAP or a sales order in SAP, and you are primarily informing your vendors, informing your customers via email, via Teams chat, via other communication layers, without having to leave the SAP system and actually move into the Teams and some other tools. On the other hand, you also have an ability to write an email to your management informing them that the forecast for their business is for the next 3 rolling quarters is X, Y, Z for certain products. And you want to, inside of the email, like the Copilot, that information, and that actually triggers data and triggers that information out of SAP. So I mean, these are bidirectionally models that needs to be taking place and needs to be looked at, and that's what we announced. I mean, this bidirectional Copilot and Joule. Obviously, the announcement is creating a lot of interest with a lot of customers globally. Yeah. I spent probably 75% of my Sapphire got hijacked with very super customers out there that were asking for how to accomplish that. very high interest in, wants to be part of a customer advisory board, providing information regarding to that. So this was a super nice outcome out of that. So as a next step, we also we said that we will at Ignite in November provide the full go-to-market and the full roadmap, and the teams are working on it. Roger, I know you'll be involved, Goran. So I mean, I'm mobilizing the team. Yeah, we are all mobilizing the teams right now to kind of putting together the scenarios that we were going to be working on. Yeah. And very glad to announce we're also going to have input from customers as well. As anything I do, I mean, I think we needed to have the customer feedback as a foundation to our. So the technology is there. We know what to do. We have the scenarios. We want to make validation and actually be able to present this in Ignite with a full go-to-market to customers. So that was exciting. On top of it, I think, again, back to my bringing the overall technology stack integration models. I mean, we announced 6 new regions for BTP around the globe. So this serves customers globally in a much larger reach. We bring all services in a roadmap into Azure, which is super powerful. We are bringing 3 new AI regions, one in the US, one in Germany for Europe, and one in Australia. And this is already shows the commitment of Microsoft on the artificial intelligence goal and the integration with SAP, which certainly not only from the presentation layer with Copilot and Joule, but also on the infrastructure side with large language models and AI services integrated into the Azure OpenAI, you know, and so this is also very strong. In between, we also announced that Entra ID or Microsoft Entra is going to be the identity management. I had a customer meeting yesterday precisely about this topic because we talked about Copilot and Joule, and this lady very intelligently, I mean, the CIO of the largest probably mining company around the world, she asked me, say, Silvio, how do we do identity? I said, now I got your answer. So we're going to do Microsoft ID as part of the identity management through Microsoft. I mean, I think that's one of the things that SAP recognized that we may have a better product and better, I'd say, understanding on certain ends, and this complements.
We have an excellent dedicated on Entra ID one SAP on Azure YouTube channel, you know, end to end for the different scenario.
There we go. I mean, this will be, you know, what episode is that, Goran?
We need to check it, but it was very popular because it is an important topic. I mean, authentication across the different tools, you know, and even double authentication. So, yeah, this is, I'm just thinking is from a customer perspective, I always hear how you guys, Microsoft and SAP, can integrate because they are benefiting from it. You know, they are just benefiting. If you don't have it, somebody has to develop, which becomes more expensively and then. So this is what I hear from you is basically integration. It's one of the key strong foundation for the partnership, so to say. I mean, the benefit.
Leveraging the strongest elements from each partnership in lieu of helping each other. I mean, and again, in the spirit of Microsoft culture of the integration and inclusivity of our ecosystem too. I mean, we are here to. I mean, that grow. I mean, the SAP grow. And the SAP, I'd say, not grow as a product, but the SAP success, I would say probably better, is our success too, you know? So I have I feel mandate to ensure that the SAP success represents our success, our team success. So we're super glad with that. So the Entra ID, we had several announcements about integrations with teams. I mean, I won't bother you with a lot of those scenarios, but this is a beginning of a journey. I mean, we are working with SAP on many different new areas. that I will save that for the next episode.
Perfect.
But we do have a lot of fantastic announcements upcoming within the next 6 months that we are working together with SAP. We were not able to deliver that during Sapphire for the reason that we needed to make some additional validations, but those are spectacular. Now we are, to be honest, I mean, I've been to Sapphires, a lot of meetings, a lot of partner meetings too. I mean, we needed to make sure that the partner ecosystem understands how to put these pieces together. I think what SAP has very clear position in terms of their strategy with RISE, BTP, Joule, all the SaaS solutions in the industry, in industry scenarios. And we needed to make sure that our partners understand how to put things together.
Mm-hmm. No, that's perfect. And maybe, I mean, to talk about all the announcement at Sapphire, I know you published a very detailed blog post that we'll also put in the show notes. But it's cool to really hear again that across the whole stack, so from the infrastructure layer, from security, AI, the presentation layer, we're really working with SAP on all these different things. And as you just said, so we're not stopping here. There are some cool things happening, that are some great things already in the pipeline. So I think, yeah, in the next few months we'll see more and more cool announcement, and Goran and I will definitely try to cover them also on our podcast and present this to our audience.
And I know you will. I know you certainly will.
So I also want to be a little cautious of your time here. I think we covered a lot. We talked about the partnership. We talked about the latest news. We talked about upcoming things. Are there any other last things that you would like to share? Or otherwise, again, Goran and I will definitely follow all the news from SAP and Microsoft and share this later.
No, I think what I want to just, I think since this is also, we have hundreds, thousands of customers that will be watching this. I want to share that, that is a relationship between SAP and Microsoft that goes over 30 years. I was in the beginning implementing the 30Ds and the 2.2Es and the 30Fs in SQL Server back then and up to today, and this relationship has been very, very strong. Microsoft is one of the largest SAP customers.
Yeah.
Is one of the SAP is one of our largest customers, and Microsoft is one of the largest customers with SAP. Everything that SAP actually does in terms of technology, we bring into house, we implement it, we discuss, we do pen tests, we do security tests, we do validations, data integrity, integration, all that. And we are probably one of the most critical customers to SAP, and SAP one of the most critical customers to us, because both of companies are really in lieu of providing the most reliable things to customers to run their mission critical process end to end. And I say this because I want to leave a message to customers out there that are going to RISE, they're going to growing to BTP, going to Joule, leveraging Microsoft technologies, that we have our commitment, that we have all our eyes and our amazing engineering teams, amazing development teams in both companies working full time to ensure that everything is running smoothly. So customers shouldn't be skeptical or afraid of the newest technology, because we've been very diligently on each other to make sure that they have the best of the best. So I leave the message there to our dear customers, partners, and everybody that is watching here. I'm looking forward to be seeing you, both of you, very soon in Germany, and I'm looking forward to see some of the colleagues that will be watching this very soon, either at Sapphire, TechEd, ignite, and inspire on so many events that we have Microsoft and SAP as an integrating point. So thank you, Holger. Thank you, Goran. This was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Silvio. It was really great having you. Thank you for all your insights. And yeah, we'll definitely catch up again.
We'll have you again back.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Invite me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.